Welcome to our new Wellness Wednesday chats, where we talk about whatever is on our minds and what we're facing when it comes to mental health. This is a brand new series from the Center for Family Involvement and the Family to Family Network of Virginia. We're going to hone in on whatever hot issues are affecting us on the final Wednesday of each month. And we're also going to feature some really great guests. My name is Erin Croyle. I'm a communications specialist for the Center for Family Involvement, and I'll kind of be chatting and moderating. And Patrice is also here.
Hi, I'm Patrice Beard. I'm the mental health specialist for the Center for Family Involvement. And Nubia.
Hi, I'm Nubia Quick, and I am a 22-year-old mom from a person with intellectual disabilities and emotional disabilities. And we are responsible residential providers supporting the mental health, the community mental service of Virginia, community living well. And obviously, it's a lot of things connected to that, as we are going to talk about today.
Okay. So let's just dive right in. I think the first thing, and part of the reason that, Patrice and I wanted to start having these chats is the stigma that still persists even now in 2020 when it comes to mental health. And I want to just kind of touch on why it's so challenging for us to seek help and open up about the mental health issues that we face.
I guess in all perspectives, I'm just thinking as me as like a mom or me as a woman, even though I'm a mental health specialist, I mean, I know there have been some times where I'm like, I should probably be seeing somebody. I should probably need to talk to somebody. I really should go see my therapist, but I don't know, something in the back of my head, I'm like, nah, I got this, or I can do this, or it'll pass, or I'm like, why do I keep doing that to myself? So even in my profession, I'm judgy on myself, I'm more judgy on myself than I am other people. So I don't know, what does that mean? Does that mean it comes within us? The stigma comes within us, or I don't know.
Yeah, it is a very difficult topic to discuss. It is very hard when you are a parent with disabled children. First of all, it comes really the stigma, it's my fault. Did I do something wrong for this kid to be this way and in such a mess? But at the same time, actually life is a good teacher. And when you, in some ways, learn by punches, you learn so many things. And you learn to be fragile, to learn to be a human being, to learn to be like, it is okay for you to take care of yourself too. And it's okay to, just take all the options that are there in the world that can offer to you to get better. And there are tons of options, we just don't look for it. Since my son is so old and I take care of him, I have been dealing with these mental health issues for so long. And obviously, he has mental health issues. He gave me mental health issues because of conditions. So I have to be in the top of him, in the top of me, and in the top of everybody else. So as a Latino, cultural broker, and dealing with all of these families that has the same problems and all the things that they encounter, not only mental, but other economical distresses and things like that. It is very difficult to share all of these situations at the same time. And at the same way, keep strong and keep yourself. So you will be able to be the provider and a good provider. And you don't want that your kids absorb all the bad bias from you, and also your bad intentions, or your irritability, or nervousness, or anything like goes to that. So there are tons of techniques out there that can help, and not only just biomedicine, but traditional Chinese medicine, traditional remedy, lots of things.
That's interesting, because even though you speak of like the different cultures, as women, I'm hearing like the same thing. Like we're supposed to be on top of everything, right? And we're supposed to be in charge of everything, and we're always supposed to have it together. And we put that pressure on ourselves, and we're like, you know what I mean? So it's hard. Like, I remember like when my daughter was, well, when she still has her ups and downs, when we're as bad as it can be, it's hard. Like, I'm not sleeping, I don't eat, I worry nonstop. I mean, somehow we're supposed to look like we have it all together, and I'm not so sure. I mean, and why do we do that to ourselves? I'm not sure.
I know.
I don't know. Who says we have to do that to ourselves?
Yes, and people tell you, oh, keep a balanced life. How you can do that with so many issues around you? So it is hard, especially when you don't have relatives around you. It's even worse.
Oh, yeah.
When you have grown to be very independent, in my case, all my family is somewhere else. So for them to come to see me, it is very difficult. And for me to go to see them, it is even worse with my son like that. So they can support me by phone, but it's not the same. Because sometimes all that you want is that somebody listen to you, and it probably give you just now with the social distance, just, something different that is not the same. So it is tough. It is tough.
Well, it's interesting too. I think, we should point out, like, the work that we do for the Center for Family Involvement, all of us have a child or a loved one in our life who has a disability. And all of us are helping other families, and all of us are living this life though. And so, like you mentioned, we're helping others, and we're saying how important self-care is and how important taking care of our mental health is. But so often we know how hard it is to kind of practice what we preach. Right. And, there's this thing about being a woman where you feel like you have to do it all, and you feel like you have to keep the family together, and you come last. And I think, like, a lot of times we let ourselves fall apart to the point of really, like, what do we need to do to get it back together? We suffer as we're trying to care for everyone else around us.
Mm-hmm. So what's the answer, Erin?
What you asking for?
Wait a minute. I'm a mental health specialist. Sorry, I'm supposed to have all the answers.
Well, no, what's interesting, Patrice, let's be open here. And then part of the reason we wanted to do that is, like, I feel like we're open books a lot of times. And part of the reason we started having this discussion is I reached out to Patrice, and I was like, Patrice, for the first time in my life, between everything happening, everything's so timely right now, right? We have this pandemic happening. Not only are we women doing everything, but now everyone's at home. So we're taking on the role of caring for people at home without the break of school or jobs or other things. We don't have caregivers coming into the home. And I reached out to Patrice and I said, Patrice, because, you're our mental health person. Like, I decided to go on an antidepressant for the first time in my life. And it was a really, really difficult thing for me to do, because of the stigma, because I'm from a blue collar family from Northeast Ohio who didn't really believe in psychology. And I took this big step, and I wanted to talk about it with somebody, and it's made a difference. It's only been, like a month and a half, and it's made a substantial difference in my life. I felt better just taking the step, not to mention that like, as my doctor describes it, it's a homeopathic level of medicine that just is kind of taking the edge off of this anxiety and depression I'm feeling. So, what do we do to feel better? You know what? Talking to a doctor and seeking medical professional help is one of the first things you can do, I think. But Patrice, I throw it to you.
Right.
Well, I would agree. I would agree with that. And I think, like, when we talked about, we need to be more gentle with ourselves. We're hardest on ourselves. Mm-hmm. So what? You decided to go on medication if that's what helped.
Exactly.
Forever, maybe you'll be on it over a hump. I don't know. Or maybe somebody else is taking care of themselves is something homeopathic, like Nubia was talking about. Maybe it's acupuncture, or maybe it's herbs or anything like that. But And we shouldn't judge one another on that route either. I mean, some people, the stigma is, how are you taking care of yourself? Well, you're not doing it right, you know? And it's like, we have to, and that's part of the stigma too. It's like, let's be gentle with ourselves, you know? Let's give ourselves a break. We're going through a whole lot right now. And it's okay to take care of ourselves. We have to, maybe sometimes we just make a phone call and talk to somebody. Sometimes we need just to hear is, it's okay, just take care of yourself, you know?
Yes.
What do you think,
I
Nubia?
also think that people shouldn't be, they should be open to many services out there, because we shut our minds to all the treatments, all the scientific evidence of all of these treatments for disorders. I mean, we are really not understanding the world. We need to be in the top of everything, in the news, in the top of which medicine is trying to do this for this and so on. So all the countries in the world do it. Why we shouldn't do it? So if a lot of people need medication, they need medication, and you need the medication to get better. And also so you provide a lot of energy for your body to do what is needed to keep going, like exercising. You have to have a lot of energy, at least to go to the gym, motivation, a lot of creativity. See, if you want to do a yoga class, the same thing. If you want to go to the woods and connect with nature, you have to be in that mental state that provides you to be able to hear the birds, to listen to the trees, to do some, I'm home, all of that thing. Otherwise, you won't be able to do anything. You can go to a massages every day. But if you don't have that mental stage that make you focus on that little area, it is really difficult. I mean, no matter what, it's
That
just
is
too many
so
things.
true. Yeah, that is so true. That reminds me, I signed up for a webinar that was supposed to be on meditation, and I should know better. I'm just not good at that. And I'm sitting there, I'm taking this meditation, and first of all, the instructor's on there, but so is everybody else who's decided to share their screen, right? So I am right away distracted, like, what, you know, I'm like looking at everything, and I'm like, so I'm trying to like close my eyes and focus, and then I'm hearing noises, and I'm like, look, and I'm clicking, who's making those noises? Who's not muted? And I'm like, I'm just like 15, 20 minutes into it, I'm like, I gotta leave. This is causing me more stress. So, but I like how you say you have to get right, you have to get your mind right. Yeah,
Yes.
just say, oh, I'm going to meditate, and then you're
Taking
like,
care of somebody else with many disorders. For example, my son has a lot of disorders. I mean, you name it, a lot of mental disabilities, and a lot of intellectual disabilities. So when people look at me, they said, how you can do it? I mean, you just cannot do it. But if you believe what others believe that you should do, you're not doing your job. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you can do things for you and also for other people, and be strong in a way that you can every day improve yourself. I put stickers all over the place. Today is the better day in my life. Faith is portable. I take everywhere I go. I put a lot of things to remind me that I have to keep in a positive state of mind to keep going with my day, because my day really sucks. So and that's why I don't take too many responsibilities with the Center for Family Involvement, because when you have too much in your plate, you just cannot do so many things to do something that is good for other people.
well, that's self-care. You know, establishing those boundaries and being able to say no. You know, I can't do it all. You know, yes to some things, no to other things. I mean, what do you do with all that's going on in your house, Nubia? What do you do to take care of yourself? What do you do when you're feeling really low?
Well, actually, since I am a sponsor residential provider, I am actually working for Matthew, and it's so difficult because in this case, I am his mom, but he's also my client. So I have to treat him as a client, and I have to follow some regulations for this agency that we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to accomplish everything he needs that he's met at a certain point. He needs to have certain routines. He's a routine person oriented. He needs to go for walks, to exercise. He needs to have a very balanced diet. all of these things. But at the same time, I rounded around and I put the same diet for me. Like I said, hey, Matthew, why we don't just do asparagus and broccoli and maybe Brussels sprouts and some other vegetable today and just a little bit of rice. And he's like, no, a lot of rice. And a piece of steak or a piece of salmon, that's good. But he goes for all the sweets, all the candy. And obviously, as an adult and the human rights, you have to say, you cannot say no. So it's so difficult to do and balance all of these things at the same time with your own health. But we try to do the best. And we're trying to have a lot of open communication also with him and telling him that it's important to have a good nutrition because you can get sick. And it's important to, just lying down and listen to your body and what the body says. And sometimes even the therapists don't know how he could be able to breathe. So I developed this technique that said, okay, Matthew, I'm gonna count to 10 and you're gonna breathe like this. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3. And hold it, and I make it count like for 5 seconds, and then release for 5 seconds, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, and we go on. Or when he's really agitated, I ask him to look at a plant or something green, or a flower, and count from 1 to from 1 minute, and then he completely unclogged his thoughts. Since he has so many disorders. So we do a lot of mixing techniques through the days, but he has to have this schedule consistently. And sometimes, obviously, it gets a time that he gets aggressive and he gets violent. And he, obviously, when we have certain disorders, mental disorders, we have a man telling us in the head, do this, do that. So it's really tough. It's really tough, but you cannot let it go. You also have to be, be there for them. And he says, I don't want to lose you, Mom, because if I lose you, I lose everything. It's like, oh my God, you're not gonna lose me, Matthew. That's what I'm trying to be healthy for you, and you will follow my steps. So I take him for bike rides and things like that. So that's going in a sense that you can involve the whole family to do some kind of exercise together.
You know what's interesting, and I'm not judging, but what's interesting is like when I was on the phone with you the other day, Nubia, and even now, when I ask about you, you don't answer it, and you start talking about Matthew. Like every time I say, Nubia, how are you? What are you doing for you? I mean, I'm not judging, I'm just saying what I'm noticing consistently, you're just like, well, Matthew, and it's all about what you're doing for Matthew. So
yeah.
Is it hard for you to talk about yourself?
Yeah, for me, I actually do a lot of baths. I love to do Epsom salt baths, and I put black pepper on it because it releases, it gives a little relaxation to the skin, and you feel better. And I do a lot of yoga, and sometimes I have to get up at the middle of the night to be quiet and to listen to or sound waves, just to be able to soothe myself. Since I am a massage therapist and craniosacral massage therapist, I do a lot of massages to myself. And believe it, they know they work. I do tapping, a lot of tapping, even though life sucks. I choose to be healthy and I love myself totally. I do it every day for me. And as I practice this for Matthew, which is in my mind all the time because I think that it takes so much energy from me that sometimes it is really difficult to really, what you say, concentrate and think about, Nubia, where have you been?
Well, you're right. Well, you're right, though. And you doing that with Matthew, but you doing it with him is so important because you're modeling that behavior with him, and you're really helping yourself as well. So yeah, for sure. Also, not to get off topic, but another good thing when you're calming Matthew and when you're doing those things, just a little trick of the trade. If you can use math with the senses, so if you can say, Matthew, I need you to look at 6 different things and tell me what they are. Or what are 6 things you can hear right now? Then that works both sides of the brain. And then it tricks his brain. So if he's being anxious or whatever, that just, it busies up both sides of the brain and it's immediately calming. So if you can, if you do that with the numbers and the senses, you'll see it. Have him think of 15 flavors of ice cream. So he's got to keep track of the numbers and then keep track of the flavors and think of the flavors. And then it's amazing if you use both sides of the brain, how that works.
Yeah, amazing, Patrice. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah. And it's very similar to another technique that I use. I say him to Barbados. Say, Matthew, let's sit down here and go to Barbados. And he said, okay, lying on the beach. What do you feel? And he said, my skin is burning. I say, it's so funny. But, you know, you can do so many things. The brain can be full so fast. Yes.
It's interesting to me, Nubia, to hear you talk, because I think this is something for parents like you and I, whose child will always need us. There's this thing where, like, from the moment you know that they have this disability, you know that you need to be there for them for the rest of their life. And it's this added pressure we face. Like you said, we have to keep ourselves healthy, which is a good thing. But also it's this stressor that I always feel in the back of my mind. Like, I'm not just doing it for me, I'm doing it for my son. Because if something happens to me, what's going to happen to him? And it's this thing that kind of keeps you awake at night. Like, it's always there in the back of your mind. Like, the choices you make aren't just about you, because our time as a parent doesn't change very much. In fact, it's even more involved after they turn 18.
Right.
Yeah.
Very difficult situation to concentrate only on you, because you're always thinking about them, the future, what it's going to be. I'm not going to be here forever. What the life is going to be from this person, and try to give the best training possible. But, you know, so it's always a lot of pressure on yourself. And therefore, your parasympathetic nervous system doesn't let it go. It's always in the fight and flight response, that type of thing.
Do you two ladies feel like, in that same vein, that COVID has added to that pressure of being healthy and making, you know, and being there for your child?
The COVID?
Yes.
The COVID, yeah.
Oh, wow. I think that in my case, actually, the COVID regressed Matthew around 10 years. First, because he was used to go to certain places to socialize, because his socialization, communication skills is still bad. So not being able to see people, so only me, because nobody can come to the house, according to our agency, and we shouldn't take him to the community because he's a vulnerable person. It really regressed him a lot, and he is very sensory in the first place. That just putting the mask is traumatic for him, and just to teach him, explaining what is going on in the world and what happened, he gets resentful and he gets judgmental. So it is very hard. I mean, it is very hard to tell people that and explain and be the only provider. And sometimes he doesn't get along with some other members of the family, which make it really difficult. So it is
been
really tough.
isolating.
This pandemic was the worst. I think that horrible. Yes.
It's I'm kind of strangely blessed, as hard as it is to have children this young. My children are 9, 7, and 5, and my oldest has Down syndrome and some medical needs that make him very susceptible. He's very high risk, but they're young enough to kind of get it, and they're young enough to kind of not care as well. So it's this strange divide. But I mean, it also has put me on this new level of alert, where I find myself like constantly thinking like, oh, I need to stock up on this. I need to stock up on meds. I mean, I was like that before anyway. Living in the DC area after the 9/11 attacks, I was always like thinking, oh, we always need to be ready, and don't let your gas tank get too light. So it's like anxiety a little bit over things. But now it's like, oh gosh, what if he gets sick? What if I get sick? What happens? And what happens if my son ends up in the hospital? You know, right away they see a child with Down syndrome, and I know that they're not going to give him the prioritized care because of his disability. And it's these things that weigh on me. And so early on, when this was kind of evolving back in March, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I would just be up writing or researching or whatever. And now that it's more of our norm, I just kind of go with things, but we're staying safe. Like, you know, the rest of the world's opening up and our family's staying locked down. It might as well be March here. I don't know, it's this strange thing where it's hard, but it's also like, it's whenever the moments get hard, I'm like, okay, well, this is like, it's no joke. This is life or death in our house. So this is hard, and they miss friends and we miss people. But on the other hand, death, hard death is kind of what I think of in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so nice that your kids understand that level of, you know, the functioning is high enough to understand that. But like in my case, he understands a lot because he reads. Obviously, I had to teach him to read and write, so it's really difficult, but he does. And so he confuses things sometimes a lot. And he thinks, oh, wow, we are really in a biological war. Or he goes more because his psychosis really click a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder, maybe from the school, from bullying, from so many things that have happened to him through the years, in the daycares and all of those things, abuse and neglect. So it's a lot of frustration. That's why now we are the providers, because it's very difficult that other person takes care of him, really. And it's hard for him to understand. So when he sees people like, you know, sometimes he classifies me as good people for being Hispanic. But he sees another people and says, wow, Mom, they have the virus. And I said, Matthew, it's not their fault, you know, because just because they are Asian, Filipinos, or Indonesians or whatever, you don't judge anybody. I mean, just be like that. I mean, be neutral. You cannot say things like that, because they can call the police and then you get in trouble. And then it's that little thing that goes in my mind when I take him now to the store and say, wow, look at, the other day he said, look at that person, Mom. She has the virus. I was like,
Why is that? Because she has a mask?
Because she had the eyes, because, you know.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I felt really bad. And people, of course, were laughing in the line, but I didn't laugh or anything, but I correct Matthew. You shouldn't judge anybody. You don't know anything to judge anybody. And we are going to be quiet here, okay? But it is very hard, because in the brain, they don't register and don't classify information the same way we do. So
when that happens, when that kind of stuff happens, do you feel judged from other people? Like it's your fault? I know, don't take this the wrong way, Erin, or anybody else listening. Sometimes when my daughter was young and her mental health was really acting up, or her obsessive compulsive disorder was acting up, and she was making noises or doing tics, having tics, or jumping, or whatever, or even now, and she has a hard time holding down a job and she's 26, I feel a huge judgment on me. I feel like others look at me. Sometimes I wonder, or I've wondered, at least if she was in a wheelchair or had something that people could see that there's a disability, I feel like sometimes I wouldn't be as judged. Like mental health component, like you said with Matthew, psychosis, and you said, I'm not sure what, I'm not going to share But do you find that's hard too, with when you're out and they're acting, your kids or your child's acting a certain way, that you're feeling judged and you're feeling that's
Oh, yes. And people look at me all the time and they could say things like, the thing is that I have learned, I have very tough life in Colombia because I really have a very difficult time with the FARC and all of those things,
with
kicking
the
us out
what?
of town. The first FARC, it's post-traumatic stress disorder from problems in the country over there.
Okay.
So you remember all of those times and triggers your post-traumatic stress disorder. So when you go in line here, perhaps, for example, to pay for something, and Matthew's taking a long time because I asked him to pay for his groceries, and he gets very nervous. I said, take your time, Matthew, breathe, breathe, breathe. People say, oh, oh my gosh. I don't say anything. I just keep going. Don't pay attention to it. Don't worry. He starts jerking because he knows that somebody's behind him, pushing him, and he forgets steps and all of that. But I don't care. I have been through worse things. So
You're better than me. You're a better person than me, Nubia. Guess
well,
it's the day how well I take it.
yeah. Well, people tell you nasty things if you tell them something. They say, "Oh, Mexican" or whatever. They don't call me Colombian, which is nice, or Sofia Vergara.
Yeah.
but,
Well, they call me that.
but they call me nasty names, and I have feel it. I mean, I don't pay attention to it really. I mean, it's people that don't have any idea of what they're doing, and they haven't have any exposure to any culture at all, or any knowledge of anything. They haven't read. So I think that those people really that judge you are idiots. And I'm sorry, I muted. but don't pay too much attention to it. So.
But Nubia, can you talk more about that? Because I think about, especially now with everything going on, we talk a lot about white privilege. So it's something that because of how I was brought up, I can't even fathom what it's like for you to have to endure judgment in a very harsh America, if you will. I don't even know how to describe our country right now, but the toll it takes on your mental health right now, being someone who has an accent, being someone who is not treated very well by white Americans right now. I mean, how hard is that for you? And if you are able to let it roll off your shoulders, what about the families that you help? What kind of toll does that take on their mental health?
Oh, that is a really hard question, because if I experience this, and I am a person that can actually stand up and say, hey, listen to me. You cannot say that because this and this and that. But sometimes people are not very receptive to you. They don't even let you talk or finish your sentence because they think that they are much better than you. And not only just white people, everybody, because I have experience with everybody. I mean, I have experience with even Latinos, African American people, white people, Asian people. I mean, people are in general are very rude, and in some ways we have become to believe that this country is a free country and we can do whatever we want to do, and we can say to the other person whatever is in our minds. Like when you go to Colombia, people don't do that. People actually are different because they don't care about who is around you. But here it's like if you go to a restaurant with a group of Latino ladies and you start speaking Spanish, they are going like that. And there is maybe another group of people, but maybe from the Middle East or from other countries, and they are talking and they don't say anything to them. So Hispanics have been very stereotyped at the point of this prejudice that is big. And but I haven't experienced equally. Actually, whites have treated me better, but I have from the other groups, really, I have had bad experience in this country, even from other immigrants. So it is very hard, but it's the truth.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, culturally speaking, I know for mental health, the stigma is so much worse. If you're looking at numbers, stigma is so much worse with the different cultures than the white culture. You know what I mean? Like the African American culture has a higher percentage of suicides and lower percentage of receiving mental health supports. Would you say that same thing about, I mean, looking at the numbers, Latino communities have a higher percent of mental health issues,
Yes.
higher amounts of not getting any help.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that has to be with the culture, because you have been grown, since you are a little person, they tell you to do, no, don't do this, that's wrong. You should be this, you should be strong, you should be growing up like this. Why are you crying? So they don't let your emotions go free and release. So when you grow up even with more resentful stuff. And it's very hard. That's why people sometimes they don't believe that receiving treatment, appropriate treatment from a psychiatrist, is appropriate. Oh, I'm not gonna take all of those pills that will make me this and make my kidneys to go this and this and that. And I say it's about a quality of life. Either you have a quality of life or no life. What would you prefer? You need to do that to get in your feet. Because herbs, yes, they do a lot. They have a lot of chemical composition, but it's still not the same that you can function optimally with this. So sometimes they refuse, and the people that refuse come back to the year again and say, okay, the name that you gave me from that guy from that country, please, I need it now. He said, sure, no problem. But
I wonder too if that's a problem too, because here, is it harder? Well, psychiatrists and therapists are hard to come by anyway, especially a psychiatrist. But some people want a specific psychiatrist, and we're in such a shortage anyway. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
mm-hmm.
Just thinking about that. I was doing a presentation, and it was on stigma, and I just wanted to get just go basic, and so I just Googled stigma.
Mm-hmm.
And for mental health, why are we like this? And stigma is they said, just like a stain, just like if you had a big, nasty, disgusting stain on you,
Mm-hmm.
you want to be around you. That's how they explain stigma, like wearing a gross, nasty stain. And people don't want to be anywhere near you, and they judge you already because they're like, that person's gross, that person stinks, that person, whatever. You hide. And so you do whatever you can to cover that. And I just thought, what an image. I like the scarlet letter. You know what I mean? That's what kind of came to mind. I want to talk about mental illness because I think we're seen as weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are not comfortable. Yeah, even when you go to the dentist's office and you say, oh, why your jaw is so tight? And I said, well, what do you think all the instructions like this? Oh, Miss Quick, oh, I got it. Oh, because, yeah, so I said, yeah, I know. So they started talking about, and they actually, because I opened it up, people are able to tell me so many things too. And because, you can talk to somebody at least, and they say, you know what, I know this person that has been going to this, or has a mom that has a son with this same age. That will be great for you. So I talk a lot, and then obviously I get up in good results. But people are very nice and kind if you open your heart to them.
That's true. I think that's why being at the Center for Family Involvement and us all having experiences and same experiences. Like I know I can call Erin and we can talk, we can Zoom and just say, I just need to Zoom, and we can, you know, hash it out, and we can say things and just get our frustrations out. And I can call Nubia and, you know, talk about like how the stresses of having an adult child with mental health issues, and we get it, you know, and it does open us up. And so I'm with that, like talking to other people. And my thing is I tried to get a massage and I had so many knots, and they're like,
So many trigger points.
you know, you've got like, I'm like, gee, I don't know, you know. Just like with your jaw, you know.
No, but just do this. Oh, it feels so good. Just in your zygomatic and in masseter.
Well, I'm not doing that now because I just put makeup on my face for the first time in like 3 months. So,
This is so
but I'll
good.
do it after.
That is so good. And doing this, you know, and even going to the bathroom and go, just tell your husband first what you're gonna do. Erin's husband must be over there. Oh my God, it's that crazy lady.
Oh, he's used to it. It's a wild house here.
Do you think sometimes we put more work on ourselves as women to be the one that takes care of everything and has it all together? I mean, do you think that's just our own expectation? Do you think anybody else, like, I don't think my husband has that expectation of me or my kids, but I wonder if how much I put on myself. I don't know.
Well, have you ever read the studies, not the studies and the commentary about the mental load? There's been articles written where females, you know, they talk about the disparities in male to female work in the home and how women just naturally pick it up more. But then when they talk about how when you have a home where a man does do more, the woman still carries the mental load in that she is still managing the household. So she still has to say, hey, can you empty the dishwasher? Her partner doesn't automatically do it. She's still managing the schedule and saying, hey, you have to pick the kid up. The partner is not actually putting it into the calendar. So even in homes where, you know, the man might be participating more, the woman is still carrying on the mental load. And I do feel that. But I also think it's interesting when we talk about the mental load and do that, if you look at lesbian couples or gay couples, I don't know if you talk to them. When I talk to my friends, I think it's more of a couple dynamic than maybe a male-female thing. Because
so one takes that mental load on, just kind of
Yeah.
It's really interesting if you talk to people, and I would love for there to be a study now that, you know, we have more and we, you know, finally are allowing that sort of progress. But it does feel like someone in, you know, the caregiver role takes on more and takes on the mental load, which I know that I have that, and I know that it does take its toll. And to your question, Patrice, is it even necessary? I'm not sure it is. Like, I'm the one who has the issue with the house being tidy. Nobody else seems to care but me.
So you
But it would be a big problem if it were messy, because it would drive my brain, would just not be able to.
Me too. Yeah, and that's the problem. I do it for me. I have to have clarity.
Well, yeah. I mean, some people say what messy room, messy mind, or I don't know what's the saying. Something about, but that's not me. That's not. I'm fine.
Yeah.
My husband's the neat freak. He'll say, you know, the bathroom, da da da. And I'm like, well, then clean it. Like, I tell me. If
Yeah.
you, then you go clean it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but everybody's doing.
He does a lot of cleaning and he's good at it. So I let him do that. I said, wonderful. Tomorrow you should do this and this.
Well, oh my God, let me tell you. My husband has, I'm not excited about this part, but the other part, my husband has anxiety, really bad clinical anxiety. And so he can't sit still. Like he rides a bike, he runs, he walks, he's always got to be doing something. Since since we've been kind of stranded at home or stuck at home, I've had rooms painted. I've had trimmed.
Wow.
Hey, if it works for you,
Uh-huh.
be doing simple. Then let me give you.
Yes, yes, little things at the time.
Had a bathroom redone.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Sometimes we just feel like we need to have a lot of pressure in ourselves, more than we have already. Stuff. Yeah, you just cannot handle too much stuff.
I thought, oh, I'm working from home. Right before, it was interesting, right around March when all this hit the fan, I had more stress in my life than I can ever remember, right? And I'm 50 years old, 51, and I would wake up in the middle of the night from a dead sleep, feeling like I needed to run out of the house and jog. And I'm like, and I knew it was. I was calming myself down, and I just felt like, how did I get to this stress level where I'm not even comfortable in my own skin? I don't know. Maybe it's, like all that's starting to happen too. And I remember calling the doctor and look, I struggled with the decision to call the doctor to let her know I needed some help. I'm like, why am I holding off? Like, why am I stopping? But it's like a big thing where I just like, I'm done with this. I can't handle the stress level. I'm miserable. I don't want to be around anybody. I was just so stressed out. And I called the doctor and I said, I think I need to be seen. I'm just not feeling well. I'm just not even comfortable in my own skin anymore. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sleeping. I had an appointment to go in, and then COVID hit, and I never made that appointment. But the fact that everything stopped there for a while and slowed down and everything was put on halt for a while, for me, it took me back down to a place where I don't know how, like things calmed down and my anxiety level calmed down and everything. But now that, what are we, how many months into it now? Now it's a different kind of stress and anxiety, right? Now it's, you would think it'd be easy to sit in your office, right? And just work and do whatever, but it's weird. It's a different kind of feeling. I don't know. What were you saying before, Nubia, that you didn't feel any difference with it because you were kind of stuck at home with Matthew anyway?
Well, actually, before I was happy because we were paying somebody that was special behavior specialist, and he was a major in PCU from psychology. So he knew what to do. So he was working with Matthew pretty much all the time, keep him occupied, take him to places to socialize and all of those things. And I was happy I was able to do a lot of things for myself, and including do a work for Center for Family Involvement. But he moved to, I don't know, Carolina, one of the Carolinas. And it was a bummer because I didn't know. And he told me right at the last moment, so I didn't have chance to research and find out somebody else. So to find somebody else, it requires a lot because, he charged quite a bit for an hour because it wasn't the insurance or any agency that will be supporting us for that, since we are residential providers. But he left, and then Matthew felt like he was abandoned. And then right then, the pandemic came in, which was worse. And then I had to take control over him and try to help him out. And it's like, oh, wonderful. Now I felt like I was taking care of Matthew, and what about me? And I was getting also sick, and I said, no, I have to take care of myself too.
And Erin, I know you were telling me that you don't have anybody in your home, are you?
No, we don't. It's been really tough. We don't have anyone in our home. So my son, Arlo, not only does he have Down syndrome, but he has immune system deficiencies. So we don't have anyone coming in the home. Where we are, they actually have, if you have summer school, if you have a year-long IEP and you require ESY, you could go to school to do it. But we're not doing that. We're doing virtual summer school.
What is ESY?
Extended school year.
Extended school year.
Okay. Yeah. So for students who show regression, you can have school year in the summer. So it's anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. So no, there's nothing. And I am in touch with my son's doctors, and they've said, listen, he's high risk. We don't know enough about this virus to let anyone anywhere. So, I mean, I have not been home alone in my house except for 2 times for a couple of hours since March.
Did you do a dance? Did you dance it out?
I worked. I worked in silence, and I answered some emails because it's this, it's so hard to explain. And this is the thing that's so different about being a woman, and I think being a mother in particular, that the children, their default is to come to me. And so I knew this. So my office moved out into our living room, and my husband took the office because he's working at home because my son's so high risk. We're not having anyone come to the home. I mean, I don't even want someone on the deck with Arlo reading to him because does not understand social distancing. And nor do my younger kids for that matter.
Yes.
Like, so if we had a person come to like watch the kids outside so I could work, they wouldn't understand to keep space. And so it's just been this weird dynamic where every thought I have, every email I answer for work, every phone call I'm on is interrupted. And it's just, by the end of the day, I am so tapped out that I can't do anything. But at the same time, during the day, I'm so minimally productive because everything's interrupted. So a lot of my job is writing and social media and communications, and I'm trying to answer people, and I'm used to working in a newsroom. But in a newsroom, if someone saw you typing and working on deadline, they would leave you alone. Yeah. Kids are like, Mom, wipe my butt. Yeah. Mom, I want chocolate.
Oh yeah, they do. They do. They even give you the little things so you can.
Right? And it's just relentless. And my poor husband, he'll be like, sweetie, I want to cuddle tonight. And I just look at him, I'm like, dude, if the kids are asleep, I don't want to touch anybody. I just want to lay alone and be alone.
I know.
Because even in my sleep, my kids find me. Like, they want to lay next to me even when they're sleeping, and I have no time.
Oh my goodness. That's
even when you're working from home and you're doing Zooms and this and that, and everything's on a Zoom, and then you're talking and everything, and my calming is just quiet. Like, I just like to be quiet. I'll have the TV on or whatever. I just need to be quiet. So my husband's sometimes talking, and so sometimes that's a conflict. And that's caused some rifts.
Yes.
I have said to him, like, I'll just like quiet time. Let's have a little bit of quiet time.
Yeah.
Or I'll just say, it's time for bed. I'll just like go upstairs and go to bed or something. But he started going back to work, and you're there, and he was out of town one night this week, and I'm like, and then yesterday he said, I have to go to Northern Virginia. I'm like, oh, are you staying? And he was like, well, no, I wasn't.
Patrice.
You sure? Well, there must be some place far away you can go.
Yeah. But that happens.
It's a long time. It's a long time without a break.
Yeah,
I know.
it's hard.
It's really hard.
And people tell you, oh, take a vacation. Yeah, when I'm going to go.
Where am I going to go? When I'm taking vacations, that's where all the numbers are, high.
Exactly. Go to Florida, take some.
Yeah.
I can't believe that this doctor told me that they go to vacation. And I said, where should I go? Even
and are you paying?
The virus is like
reproducing.
reproducing. So it's like, wow, this country's hit it really. It's bad there. So,
sometimes I'll just pretend. Like, we had our anniversary, and he's like, well, it's a joke. What do you want to do? That was when everything was closed down. I'm like, I don't know. Let's just go to the movies and then go to a really nice restaurant to eat,
I know.
Where are we picking food up?
Oh my my goodness. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, the whole COVID-19 pounds, right? Like,
yeah,
you
God.
try to
I
escape.
refuse to talk about that. I refuse.
Yeah, I know. When I see my friends, they gain like about 20 to 15 pounds. It's like, what?
I haven't done
But
that much
they,
yet.
I see some, I say, hey, let's have some, at least uh, some ice cream, just to treat ourselves with social distances. And I needed to talk to somebody. And when I saw her, she was like, and she's not even a special mom. I mean, she's working, yeah, of course, but working from home. But I was shocked. I was saying, oh my gosh, but how you gonna get all of this weight? She said,
Wow.
because I was eating every single time because I wasn't used to this. This is crazy. So I understand.
Yeah, it's hard to get into like you're here. Like I was at work. I was to make sure I did the steps all the time. I make sure I got out to walk around.
Right. And you
When I could eat. That was just here.
yeah, even if you have to go for a little run around outside, and if it's hot, well, you gotta do it, but take care of
And
a
that's
little.
not good for my mental health either. Like, not the other day I went somewhere and I actually put on pants that I could button, and I'm like, uh-oh, we have a problem.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just used to wearing like the stretchies.
Yeah.
I'm like, uh-oh, there's a little problem we're having here.
It's
Oh.
funny too. Running is kind of I call it my therapy because it really is.
Mhm.
And so I was doing a lot of running, and and I got injured. So,
Now you can't run.
it's just kind of what it just feels really. It kind of goes along with everything in the world right now, right? Like
Uh-huh.
we keep trying to do what we can, and it's just harder.
Yeah.
And it's harder for us as women and as women of children who have disabilities. It's just
I
harder.
think that is the worst. It has been the worst for all over the moms in the world. Oh, I have a friend in Bogota. She has this kid that she said, I don't know what to do. Plus, the rooms are very, 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 small. And she has to confine themselves in a very small room. And this kid has a lot of disorders as well. Oh my gosh, I feel for her too. It is tough. It is very tough.
Well, I have respect for you women who are working from home and taking care of kids and homeschooling and
Do
I don't know
activities,
if I just have to work.
projects. I put Matthew to do all of those art projects in the world. I put him all of those Jason jars from spaghetti sauce
Yeah,
to do with them,
the paint.
different things. And he actually was very creative and did a lot of things for different people. So that was sweet.
That is sweet. That would be awesome.
Yeah, he did
Make it like a
vase,
flower
he did,
vase.
the zoo here, and actually came out pretty well. But he was very proud of himself just to keep him occupied. It's like one thing after the next is pow, 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 pow. And then when I really relax and sit to do some drawing to myself, I get interrupted. It's like, no, 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 no. Mm-mm. Get out of here. Go listen to the music for just 10 minutes, okay? And leave me alone. I finished this picture.
Have you been cooking a lot? I know you love to cook. No?
Oh, I'm cooking, yes. I love to cook. Yeah, I'm
If I
cooking.
put my order in, can I come to the, I'll come to you. I'll just come pick it up.
Yeah.
Some tamales.
Order.
Nubia is an excellent cook.
Oh,
No, I'm
you're so
hungry.
sweet, Patrice. Thank you. Mhm.
Well, listen, ladies, I'm looking at the time. We've been chatting for about an hour, and I think we should, yeah. And this is the thing, right? I think we could probably go for another hour. But for anyone who's watching, we're going to do these every Wednesday. You can comment on topics you want us to cover. Patrice and I have a list of things.
Last Wednesday of the month, right?
Right. The last Wednesday of every month, we're going to have these. They're going to be recorded because we all have potty mouths. And other things. We have to have a safety
and naked,
umbrella.
and some of our children like to be naked. So I'm impressed, Erin. I didn't see any of that this time.
I dressed them.
Thank you.
And honest, we just really scratched the surface. I looked at my list of questions, and there are a lot of other things we can talk about when it comes to mental health and being a woman. So I think we can do this topic again. But yeah, this is exciting.